The light above Elder Rin's head flickered. It was a dying gasp from a generator that had served her people for 3 centuries. The air in the underground shelter was thick with the scent of fear. She could feel the rapid, shallow breathing of the young ones huddled close to her. Their small, 3-fingered hands clutched at her robes. Outside, the world above groaned. Explosions rocked the ground. The low rumble vibrated through the rock walls. It spoke of ships falling from the sky. It spoke of their final moments. The Cathar Empire was relentless. They had swept through the outer rim like a wildfire. Now, they stood at the threshold of the Flinn homeworld. Elder Rin's people had offered no resistance. They had no military. They had no valuable minerals. They had only their quiet lives. The Galactic Council had made it clear. The Flinn were not important. No fleet would come to their aid. No diplomat would risk their neck for a species with no strategic value. Despair was a cold stone in Elder Rin's chest. She closed her eyes. She remembered stories from long ago. Stories of a different kind of visitor. Above the Flinn homeworld, Admiral Rostova watched the Cathar fleet on her main view screen. Thousands of vessels, sleek and dark, moved like predators. Her human fleet, though smaller in number, formed a defiant line. It stood between the Cathar and the fragile blue planet. Commander Ben Carter stood beside her on the bridge of the EHRSS Steadfast. He shifted his weight from one foot to the other. His eyes were wide. He swallowed hard. The scale of the Cathar attack was immense. "Admiral," Commander Carter said. His voice was a little tight. "The Cathar warlord Xylos is hailing us. He demands to know our intentions. He says we are interfering with a standard annexation." Admiral Rostova's lips curled into a faint smile. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who knew a secret. "Put him through," she said. Her voice was calm. It was steady. It was the sound of bedrock. The screen shimmered. A reptilian face filled the view. Warlord Xylos had cold, calculating eyes. His scales were a dull gray. They seemed to reflect no light. "Humans," Xylos hissed. His voice was a rasping static. "You trespass. This sector is under Cathar claim. These Flinn are irrelevant. Move your ships, or we will atomize them." Admiral Rostova took a slow breath. Her gaze was level. "Warlord," she began. Her voice was clear and strong. "Your claim means nothing to us. The Flinn are not irrelevant. Centuries ago, one of our scouts, Lieutenant Theron Vance, found himself stranded near their home star. His ship was damaged. His supplies were low. He was dying of thirst." Warlord Xylos tilted his head. A flicker of something like confusion crossed his face. "What is this tale?" he demanded. "A single scout? What concern is this ancient history to a modern war?" "They gave him water," Admiral Rostova continued. Her voice did not rise. It did not fall. They shared their meager stores. They nursed him back to health. A small gesture, perhaps, by your standards. But we humans, we remember such things. We do not forget our debts. The Flinn offered us water when we were thirsty. Today, we offer them our shield. Warlord Xylos let out a sound. It was like a growl. It was like a cough. "This is illogical," he shouted. "A waste of resources. A single scout? You risk your fleet for such a trivial matter? Your motives are opaque. You must desire something else. Hidden resources? Strategic advantage?" Admiral Rostova's smile returned. This time, it was colder. "Our motives are quite clear, Warlord. We are here to collect a debt. The Flinn paid it forward. Now, we are paying it back. You will withdraw your fleet, or you will face the consequences." Warlord Xylos stared at her. His cold eyes narrowed. He looked at the human fleet behind her. He saw the steely resolve in their formation. He could not understand. This was not how the galaxy worked. This was not profit. This was not power. "You are mad," he finally said. He cut the connection. The screen went blank. Commander Carter looked at Admiral Rostova. His brow was furrowed. "Admiral," he said. "He truly doesn't understand. It's like trying to explain color to someone who has only seen black and white." "Precisely, Commander," Admiral Rostova replied. "And that is our greatest strength. They cannot predict us. They cannot negotiate with our values. They only know their own greed." She turned from the screen. She looked out at the silent, expectant bridge crew. Prepare for engagement. Standard defensive protocols. No unnecessary risks. Remember, our primary objective is Flinn protection. Let the Cathar come. Let them learn the cost of forgetting a favor owed to humanity. Far from the conflict, in the opulent halls of the Xylosian Collective, Ambassador Valar watched the real-time reports. He was a being of pure logic. His chitinous shell shimmered with light. He processed information with chilling efficiency. The human declaration was listed as anomaly, high probability of deception. Yet the human fleet was not retreating. It was holding its ground. It was moving into defensive positions. Unusual, Valar murmured to his aide, a smaller Xylosian drone named Unit 7. The human expenditure of military might is disproportionate to any conceivable strategic gain from the Flinn. The Flinn possess no rare isotopes. They have no strategic hyperspace lanes. Their planetary defense is negligible. This debt concept, it defies all economic and military logic. Perhaps it is a display of power, Ambassador, Unit 7 suggested. Its voice was a synthesized hum. A warning to other powers? Possible, Valar responded, but highly inefficient. A more direct threat would suffice. No, this debt is either a brilliant subtle ploy or the humans are truly irrational. We must observe closely. The human shields flared bright blue. The ship's deck vibrated with each hit. Shields holding at 85%, a tactical officer called out. Return fire confirmed. Multiple Cathar fighters down. Commander Carter watched the battle map. His fingers instinctively tapped against the console. He had trained for this. He had run simulations. But this was real. The sheer volume of incoming fire was dizzying. Admiral, he said, their numbers are overwhelming. We can't hold this line indefinitely without taking heavy damage. We don't need to hold it indefinitely, Commander, Admiral Rostova replied. She leaned forward. Her eyes were fixed on the tactical display. We only need to hold it long enough for them to understand. Engage evasive maneuvers. Focus fire on their command destroyers. They think this is about brute force. We will show them it is about precision. The human ships, smaller and more agile, began to dance through the Cathar fire. They dodged heavy plasma bolts. They weaved between fighter formations. Their own railguns spat blinding lines of light. They tore through Cathar shields. The Cathar, used to overwhelming less agile opponents, found themselves unable to lock onto the swift human vessels. Their formations broke. Confusion rippled through their lines. On the ground, in the Flinn shelter, the tremors lessened slightly. Elder Rin felt a tiny spark of hope. It was a fragile thing. She knew it could be crushed at any moment. But the rumbling was less constant. The explosions were more distant. Had the Cathar moved on? Or was it something else? A young Flinn child, Tila, looked up at her. Tila's large, dark eyes were filled with questions. Elder Rin simply stroked Tila's head. She offered a comforting, silent gesture. Meanwhile, on the Cathar flagship, Warlord Xylos slammed a scaled fist onto his command console. They are too fast, he roared. Their ships move like insects. How can they evade our direct fire? They have fewer ships. This makes no sense. Warlord, their tactics are unconventional. His second-in-command, a Cathar named Grash, reported. They are not engaging in standard line combat. They are using smaller, faster craft to harass our capital ships. They are focusing fire on our targeting arrays. Our lock-on systems are failing. They are playing games, Silas snarled. Engage all destroyers. Overwhelm them. Send in the ground invasion transports. We will land on the Flinn homeworld. They will not be able to defend both their planet and their fleet. He believed this would force the humans to split their forces. This was a standard military tactic. He believed it was foolproof. Admiral Rostova anticipated this. She had studied Cathar war doctrine. She knew their predictable reliance on overwhelming force. "They are launching ground transports," Commander Carter reported, his voice tinged with alarm. "Hundreds of them. Heading for the Flinn surface." "Alpha and Beta squadrons," Admiral Rostova commanded. Her voice was like steel. "Intercept the transports. Do not allow a single Cathar ground troop to reach the Flinn surface." "Gamma squadron. Continue to harry the Cathar main fleet. Target their primary weapon systems. Make them hurt." The human smaller vessels, nimble and deadly, peeled away. They dove towards the lumbering Cathar transports. The transports, designed for carrying troops, were poorly armed. They were easy targets. Explosions bloomed in the void. Transport after transport detonated. The Cathar ground invasion turned into a fiery spectacle of failure. This was when the true terror began for the Cathar. They expected humans to respond with a desperate defense. They expected them to sacrifice ships to save their landers. But humans did not follow their script. Humans simply destroyed the threat. Cleanly, efficiently, without hesitation. In the Xylosian observation chamber, Ambassador Villar adjusted his ocular sensors. He focused on the Cathar transports exploding. "The humans did not commit capital ships to planetary defense," he hummed. "They used their smallest vessels. They minimized their own losses." "This is cunning," Unit 7 reported. "Cathar fleet morale decreasing rapidly, Ambassador. Warlord Xylos is reportedly in a state of extreme agitation." Villar nodded slowly. They expected a logical enemy, one that fights for resources or territory. The human concept of debts and loyalties proving to be a highly effective and unpredictable weapon. He thought of the single scout. He thought of the glass of water. It still made no sense by Xylosian logic. Yet the evidence of its power was undeniable. Back on the HRSS Steadfast, Commander Carter felt a strange thrill. It was not just victory. It was the feeling of seeing something truly unique unfold. He saw the grim satisfaction on Admiral Rostova's face. He also saw a flicker of something deeper, a profound commitment. "Admiral," he said, his voice softer now. "This Lieutenant Vance, what happened to him after the Flinn helped him?" Admiral Rostova turned to him. A small, almost wistful smile touched her lips. "Lieutenant Vance eventually repaired his ship with the Flinn's help. He returned to Earth. He reported his findings. But he never forgot the Flinn. He spent his remaining years advocating for their protection. He ensured that the debt was recorded, that it was passed down. It became part of our core philosophy. A lesson. Humanity remembers every kindness, every slight." She paused. Her eyes drifted to the view screen. The Cathar fleet was now in full retreat. They were scattering like frightened insects. Their mighty war machine was broken, not by overwhelming force, but by something they could not comprehend. "He died an old man, Commander," she finished. "But his legacy lived on. And that is why we are here today, for a glass of water." Below, in the Flinn shelter, the ground was still. The air was clear. Elder Rin stood slowly. She looked at the other Flinn. Their faces were etched with confusion. And then, a fragile hope. "The sounds. They are gone," a young Flinn whispered. Elder Rin nodded. She felt a strange lightness in her chest. She had heard the stories, the ancient ones, of a tall, pale being with strange hair. A being who had fallen from the sky. A being her ancestors had helped. She had always thought it was just a nice tale, a legend. But now she wondered. Had it truly happened? Had that small act of kindness truly brought such immense protection? Days turned into weeks. The Cathar fleet had fled the sector. The human fleet remained. They established a perimeter. They sent down aid. Human engineers began to repair the Flinn's damaged generators. Human medics offered their skills. Commander Carter led one of the first ground teams. He saw the Flinn up close. They were small. They were gentle. Their large, dark eyes seemed to absorb everything. Their homes were simple. Their technology was basic. He met Elder Rin. Her skin was a soft, mottled green. Her features were delicate. She had a quiet dignity. "Humanity," she said, her voice a soft chirp. "You saved us. We do not understand why. We offered so little." Commander Carter knelt down. He looked into her eyes. "Elder Wren," he said gently, "to a dying man, a glass of water is everything. It is not about the size of the gift. It is about the intent. Your ancestors showed kindness to one of ours. We value kindness. We repay it." Elder Wren considered his words. Her antennae, which usually drooped with sadness, twitched slightly. "Such a concept," she murmured. "It is alien to our galactic neighbors. They speak only of trade, of resources, of power." "We are different," Carter admitted. "We believe that debts, both good and bad, must always be repaid. It is a fundamental part of who we are. It makes us human." He paused. He then asked, "Elder, do you remember the details of that encounter? Lieutenant Vance's log entries are quite sparse." Elder Wren closed her eyes. She reached out. Her three-fingered hand gently touched a smooth, ancient stone. It was carved with symbols. "The story is passed down," she said. Her voice became like a soft hum. "A being fell from the sky. He was broken. He was thirsty. Our people, the Flinn of the Willow clan, found him. They brought him to their spring. They shared their food. They did not ask for payment. They saw only a living thing in need. He stayed for many cycles. He learned our language. He taught us of his home. He spoke of a place called Earth, a blue world. He spoke of his family. He spoke of his thirst. He spoke of the gift of water. He called it life itself." She opened her eyes. "When his vessel was mended, he left. He promised to remember us. We thought it was merely a polite farewell, a custom. We never expected this." Her eyes swept over the human aid workers. They worked with quiet efficiency. They seemed to expect no praise. They just worked. Commander Carter felt a lump in his throat. This wasn't just a mission. This was history. This was the soul of humanity, laid bare for the galaxy to see. He knew then that Admiral Rostova was not just a commander. She was a living symbol of that debt. Meanwhile, news of humanity's actions spread like wildfire across the galactic networks. The Xylosian Collective's central databanks buzzed with analysis. Ambassador Valar presented his updated report to the Inner Council. "The human fleet did not pursue the retreating Cathar," Valar stated. His synthesized voice was devoid of emotion. But his data projections spoke volumes. They established a defensive perimeter. They are now providing extensive humanitarian aid to the Flinn. Their actions consistently align with their stated debt's motivation. There is no evidence of subterfuge. No hidden agendas have been detected. A senior Xylosian counselor, a being of pure light known as Luminar Prime, pulsed with confusion. "But this is irrational," Luminar Prime projected. Its light pattern shifted from calm blue to agitated orange. Such a commitment for a single historical interaction? It defies all strategic and economic principles. Do they not understand the cost-benefit analysis? "They do, Luminar Prime," Valar replied. "But their calculations include variables unknown to us. Emotions, loyalty, gratitude. They are a species driven by these illogical concepts. And yet, these concepts make them uniquely dangerous. And uniquely unpredictable. The Cathar were defeated not by superior firepower alone, but by a profound misunderstanding of their enemy's motivations. They fought a war of profit. Humans fought a war of principle. Luminar Prime's light patterns dimmed. Then humanity is a force unlike any we have encountered, it projected. They fight for their friends. Not just for their interests. This changes everything. On the Cathar homeworld, Warlord Xylos was in disgrace. His fleet was in tatters. His reputation was ruined. He sat slumped on his throne. His scales were duller than usual. He replayed the human's words. "We don't forget our debts." It echoed in his mind. He still did not truly grasp it. He understood revenge. He understood conquest. But this, protecting a weak species for a simple favor centuries ago, it was madness. And yet, this madness had crushed him. He shuddered. What other debts did humanity carry? Who else had they made promises to? The thought filled him with a cold dread. Back in the Flinn system, weeks turned into months. The human presence had transformed the Flinn's world, not with grand structures, but with quiet restoration. The Flinn learned simple new technologies. They learned about other species. Commander Carter spent hours with Elder Rin. He learned about Flinn culture. He learned their quiet songs. He even tried some of their traditional food. It was surprisingly bland, but he ate it with good grace. It was part of understanding. One evening, as the twin suns of the Flinn system dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of purple and orange, Commander Carter stood with Admiral Rostova. They watched the Flinn children play. Their laughter was a soft music. "It's almost done, Admiral," Commander Carter said. "The Flinn homeworld's defenses are bolstered. We've set up automated patrols. We've even helped them establish limited communication channels with species we trust." "Good, Commander," Admiral Rostova replied. Her gaze was soft. "Our job here is nearly complete. The debt is paid, and then some." "Do you think the galaxy truly understands now?" Carter asked. "About us? About our unique perspective?" Admiral Rostova smiled. "Some will. Some won't. The Cathar certainly won't forget. They will tell stories of the illogical humans. The ones who came for a glass of water. And that, Commander, is precisely the point. Let them try to figure us out. Let them assume we are always acting for profit. Let them underestimate the power of loyalty. It will serve us well in the future." She turned to him. Her eyes held a deep wisdom. "We do not ask for anything in return from the Flinn. We just ask them to live, to thrive, and perhaps to pass on the story, to remember the kindness they once showed. Because you never know when a simple gesture can ripple across the stars for centuries." A small Flinn child, Tila, ran up to Commander Carter. She offered him a small, smooth stone. It was similar to the one Elder Rin kept. Carter took it. He felt its warmth in his palm. Tila chirped something in Flinn. Elder Rin translated. "She says it is a thank you. She says her people will never forget this day." Commander Carter nodded. He looked at Tila. He saw a future. He saw generations who would remember. "Tell her," he said to Elder Rin, "that humanity never forgets a favor, and we will always be here for our friends." He meant it. He knew now that it was not just a saying. It was a core principle. It was a promise. It was who they were. It was why humanity was a force to be reckoned with, not just with their weapons, but with their hearts. A few weeks later, the human fleet prepared to leave the Flinn system. The HRSS Steadfast glowed in the light of the twin suns. On the bridge, Admiral Rostova watched as the last of the Flinn waved goodbye from the surface. Their small three-fingered hands were raised high. They looked like tiny, fragile flowers in the vastness of space. Commander Carter stood by her side. He still held the smooth stone Tila had given him. He kept it in his pocket now. A constant reminder. "It feels good, Admiral," he said, his voice quiet, "to do something so right." Admiral Rostova nodded. "It does, Commander. But remember, this isn't just about feeling good. It's about setting a precedent. It's about showing the galaxy that some things are worth more than strategic positioning or rare minerals. It's about demonstrating our unique form of strength." She then turned to the navigation officer. "Set course for the galactic hub, Ensign. High warp factor. We have other matters to attend to, other debts to collect, and perhaps a few to repay with interest." She gave a small, knowing smile. A flicker of humor danced in her eyes. "And tell the mess hall to prepare something with actual flavor. All this high-minded morality has made me crave a good, spicy curry." "Our alien allies make the blandest food, don't they, Commander?" Commander Carter chuckled. "Indeed, Admiral. A spicy curry sounds like a debt I'd be happy to pay in advance." He felt a warmth spread through him. It was the warmth of belonging, the warmth of understanding, the warmth of being human. As the HRSS Steadfast began to accelerate, leaving the Flinn system behind, Ambassador Villar of the Xylosian Collective was concluding his final report to the Inner Council. "The human concept of debts and loyalty is not a weakness," he summarized. His hum was firm. "It is a profound strength. They have proven that they will commit disproportionate resources to protect those they deem friends. This makes them formidable allies, and truly terrifying adversaries." Other galactic powers, particularly the Cathar, have now experienced this firsthand. They underestimated humanity. They will not make that mistake again. Luminar Prime's light patterns pulse steadily. So, the humans have, through their illogical actions, redefined galactic diplomacy, it projected. They have introduced a new variable. A moral one. Precisely, Luminar Prime, Valar confirmed. The galaxy now understands, humanity never forgets a favor, and they never forget a slight either. This creates a powerful, unpredictable equilibrium, one where kindness can be a weapon, and loyalty, the ultimate shield. He paused. He reflected on the peculiar species. They were so quick to laughter, yet so fierce in their convictions. He considered the sheer simplicity of their motivation for defending the Flinn. A glass of water. It was so utterly basic, so fundamentally non-strategic, and yet it had shifted the balance of power across an entire sector. Perhaps, Valar hummed quietly to himself, we should consider offering a human a drink, just to see what happens. A small, uncharacteristic tremor went through his chitin. He immediately analyzed the tremor. It was not fear. It was curiosity. Deep, profound curiosity. The galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had seen to that. They were the debt collectors, and they were just getting started.